Millions of people use Craigslist to find jobs, buy furniture, or earn quick cash. But behind the screens and smiling profiles, there are some who never had the chance to walk away. These are 3 true horror stories about people who answered a simple ad and were never seen the same way again. This is Mr. H. You're listening to Masked Horror. The free couch. I found the ad while scrolling Craigslist late one night, looking for cheap furniture for my new apartment. It was one of those quick setups, just a picture of a plain beige couch in what looked like a basement or garage, and the caption, "Free, just take it." I messaged the poster. A woman named Heather replied fast. She said she was moving out the next day and had to get rid of it. First come, first serve. She sounded normal, friendly, said her landlord was being a jerk and that she'd be gone by morning. The only catch, I'd have to pick it up after 8 p.m. since she was working nights, and that was the only time she'd be home. It didn't seem like a big deal. The address was only about 30 minutes away, in a quiet part of town I wasn't familiar with. I figured it was a college student or something. I told my roommate where I was going and sent him the address, just in case. We joked about it, said if I wasn't back in an hour, to assume I'd been hacked into pieces by a serial killer. Typical dumb guy banter. I got there around 8:15. The neighborhood was older. Rows of 1950s bungalows, mostly dark. The kind of street where the porches are too big for the houses and every other driveway is cracked or overgrown. I parked across the street and noticed the house was completely dark. No lights inside, not even the porch light. I double-checked the address. It matched. I texted Heather. She responded immediately. "Doors open. Come in. Couch is downstairs to the left." That's when I hesitated. Something about it felt off. No explanation for why it was so dark. No mention of her coming to meet me outside. But I figured maybe the power was already shut off. She had said she was moving out. I tried the front door. It creaked open. The inside was colder than it should have been, like no heat had been on for a while. The living room was empty. No boxes, no furniture, nothing on the walls. Just old beige carpet that smelled faintly of mildew. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. But from the back of the house, I heard movement. Not footsteps, just a soft dragging sound, like something being pulled across the floor. I should have left, but instead, I called out again, "Heather." Still nothing. I looked toward the basement door. It was half open, and beyond it, complete darkness. Then my phone buzzed. Another text from Heather. "Come down. I'm down here." I don't know why I listened. I can't explain it. Curiosity, stubbornness. I stepped down onto the first stair. The air was even colder and damp. I pulled out my phone flashlight. Halfway down, I paused. There was something on the basement floor. Plastic sheeting, a lot of it, spread out like a drop cloth. In the center was the couch. The same one from the ad, but no Heather. I turned back up to the stairs. That's when I heard the door above me close. Then, a click. Locked. I bolted back up, pounded on the door yelling. No answer. My phone had no signal. I shined the light around the basement again. There was no one. But I now noticed something I hadn't before. Small holes in the walls, perfectly circular, at eye level. Not windows, almost like... Then I saw the red light, a faint blinking LED in the corner of the room behind the couch. A camera. Eventually, the cops were called, not by me, by my roommate, who waited until nearly 11 before deciding to track my phone. By the time they got there and broke the door down, I was curled up on the floor in the dark, panicked out of my mind. But here's the weirdest part. The house was completely empty. The real estate company that owned the house said it had been vacant for over 6 months. No one named Heather had ever been listed on the lease. And the text messages, they were gone from my phone. Every single one. All I had left was the original Craigslist screenshot I sent to my roommate. When we tried the link again, the post had been deleted. But someone had to be there. Someone locked me in that basement. Someone set the scene up. And the couch, I swear I still see it sometimes online. Different cities, different photos, but always the same line. Free, just take it. Looking for work. I was all out of options. I'd just been laid off from my job. Rent was a month past due, and my ex was threatening to take full custody if I couldn't start sending her regular child support. I was 33, broke, and desperate. That's when I saw the Craigslist ad. It was simple, almost suspiciously so. Help wanted, live-in farmhand, $400 a week, room and board included. It was posted the day before. No images, just a contact email and a short message. Looking for help maintaining a private farm. You'll be working alone. Must be okay with isolation. Immediate start. I figured it was probably BS, but I emailed anyway. A few hours later, I got a response. The guy's name was George. Said he was 71, owned about 40 acres of land out near Monroe County. He described himself as old school and tired of doing everything himself. Said he didn't care about experience. He just wanted someone reliable who wouldn't flake. He attached a photo of himself, gray beard, glasses, looked like a cross between a grandpa and a Vietnam vet. He offered to meet me in person at a diner. I agreed. What else was I doing? He was already seated when I arrived. Wore overalls and a flannel jacket, nursing a black coffee. He stood when I came over, shook my hand like we'd known each other for years. Said, "You look like you work hard. That's all I need." We talked for a while about cows, fencing, fixing old tractors. He nodded along. He never once asked me about my background or references. Finally, he leaned in and said, "You want to take a drive? I'll show you the place." Part of me hesitated. I didn't know this guy, but the desperation kicked in. I followed him to his truck. The drive was long, longer than I expected. After 30 minutes, the road turned from paved to gravel, then dirt. We passed nothing but trees, no cell service, no landmarks. Eventually, we pulled up to a gate held shut with a rope and a stick. Not even a real lock, just a rusted metal arch that read, "Red Hollow." Behind it was a winding dirt path through the woods. George looked at me and said, "It's a bit of a walk from here." That's when I got uneasy. Why park here? Why not drive in? I opened my mouth to ask, but he was already walking. I followed. We hiked for maybe 10 minutes before we came to a clearing, but there was no farmhouse, no barn, just a broken down structure covered in moss and rot, like a shed that had burned and been swallowed by the woods. "This is it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. George turned to me. "This was it," he said. "Storm last year took it out, but we make do. Shelter's up ahead." He pointed toward the trees. I stopped walking. That was the moment I felt it. Pure, cold instinct. Like every hair on my arms knew something I didn't. I said, "I think I'm good, man. I don't think this is for me." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Shame," he said. "Hard to find people willing to walk this far anymore." I turned and left, fast. He didn't follow. I walked all the way back to the road. It took nearly an hour before I got a signal. I called a friend to come get me. I didn't explain. I just said I needed a ride, now. The next day, I tried to find the listing again. Gone. So was George's email. I reverse searched the photo he sent me. Nothing. Not even a similar face. Honestly, I don't know what would have happened, but I'm glad I got out of there as soon as I did. The room for rent. I was 23 when this happened. I had just moved out of my mom's place and was looking for a room to rent in a decent part of town. My budget was tight, like barely surviving tight, so I mostly looked on Craigslist. I found one listing that seemed too good to be true. Room for rent, $350 per month, utilities included, quiet, mature household. There were 3 photos, a clean bedroom, a hallway, and a kitchen. Pretty generic. The poster said it was a private home and that they were looking for someone quiet, clean, and respectful. No gender preference, just must be okay with cameras in common areas due to insurance reasons. That part felt weird, but I'd seen it before. I needed a place. I emailed, got a reply later that day. No name, just a short, polite message. The room is still available. Come see it tonight. No deposit required if you move in this week. Then the address. The house was in an older suburb outside the city. Big trees, cracked sidewalks, the quiet stillness you only get in neighborhoods full of retired people or those with something to hide. When I arrived, the house looked exactly like the photos. Small, clean, ordinary. Porch light on, blind shut. I knocked. A man answered. Late 50s, maybe 60s. Balding, thick glasses, tucked in shirt, looked like a community college professor who'd been laid off during COVID. He smiled and said, "You're right on time." Didn't tell me his name, which was weird. Inside, the place smelled faintly of bleach and something else I couldn't place. He gave me a quick tour. The bedroom was fine. The kitchen was spotless. But every single room, hallways included, had a small black dome in the ceiling. Cameras. He said they were just for liability, that someone had tried to sue him once after tripping in the living room. He chuckled like it was nothing. Said he had turned one of the back bedrooms into a monitor room, but that the feeds were never recorded, just live, for peace of mind. That's when I asked, "Are there cameras in the bedroom?" He looked at me dead in the eye and said, "No, of course not. That would be illegal." Still, I felt weird. But he said I could move in that night, rent-free for the first 2 weeks. I told him I would go home, grab my stuff, and let him know. On the drive back, something bugged me. I realized I hadn't seen the door to that monitor room. He never showed it. He said he never mentioned anyone else living there, even though the ad said mature household, plural. I decided to search the address online. That's when things got messed up. The address brought up an old missing persons forum post. It was archived, barely formatted, but the headline stuck with me. My daughter disappeared after visiting this house. Please help. The post was from a mother dated 7 years ago. She said her daughter had gone to look at a room she found online. The last text she sent was the same address I had just left. There were 3 photos. One of the girl, smiling, holding up a peace sign. One of the house, same porch, same door, same cracked driveway. And one of a bedroom, the exact room I'd been shown. Same wall color, same bed, same crooked curtain rod. The Craigslist post was taken down within hours. When I tried to email the guy again, it bounced back. No trace of the ad, no history, like it had never existed.